customer stole hundreds of dollars from me once because I didn't have a process for how to get them to pay. It can be as small as just knowing how you prefer your payment, whether it's cash or whatever else you choose, but I'll cover that throughout the video. If you watch to the end of this video, I'll explain exactly how I've gone about this for hundreds of jobs and have never had this happen again. How do you get the customers to pay? It's always smart to know that people aren't going to be open to paying you before you offer them the service. When I first started out, I was assuming that the customers were going to pay me in the beginning, so I would continue to send them my Venmo, asking them when they were going to send me the money. I had no idea the ins and outs of business or even my own business. In my mind, it made more sense to me to claim the money so that I don't get into any situations where somebody isn't paying me. On the other hand, I can see how the customer is at a disadvantage because you have their address, so if they gave you the money before you even showed up, and now you know where they live and you take their money. Luckily, I started using QuoteIQ to manage my business, and it's been infinitely smoother. If you need help keeping up with customers, sending estimates, invoices, or collecting payments, give QuoteIQ a try for free. Just click the link in the comment section and the description of this video. QuoteIQ can also help you manage your schedule, send automated follow-up emails, and texts. Now back to the video. The first step for me was to figure out how I wanted to get paid. I wasn't going to use cash anymore because I'd be always going to deposit and I didn't want to use it. So I opened up a Venmo account and I've been using that for my business. After the customer and I set up a good date and time, I always ask how they would like to pay, cash or Venmo. Usually most people are going to have Venmo, but occasionally you'll have those people who don't know and might want to use Cash App instead. But on the way to the job the day of, I send them my Venmo username and tell them this is who to send the payment to when we finish the job. Also included the customer that you're going to let them know when you finish. All of these details just get rid of all the confusion and make everything easier. There have been situations in the past though where customers chose not to pay me because they didn't consider the job to be finished when we told them we were done. This wasn't recent, but let's call the customer Mr. John. My friends and I had a lawn care service and we had finished up the job and I was young, so maybe it wasn't done perfectly, but we were trying to figure out how he was going to pay us after the job. While we were outside trying to discuss the payment, he started looking around and pointing out little things that we didn't do right, so we had to go and fix them. In the end, Mr. John didn't even know what Venmo was and he had absolutely no cash on him to pay us. Of course, he could have had that plan all along, but had I asked him ahead of time how he planned to pay me, this might have been avoided. It's also very understandable. Many people are old and may not know what Venmo is, but in the off chance that's the issue, then we do take cash and I offer it as an option. It's good to have multiple payment methods available to the customer so your range of customers is extended to whether or not they have a flip phone and can't even download Venmo, or a customer who has an iPhone and wants to Zelle you the money. You need to be able to collect from both. So for example, I went to this customer's house and did a can cleaning for them. The woman and I had planned to do it Saturday morning for a couple days. After she had said let's do Saturday at 12, I said yes ma'am, that sounds good. How would you like to pay? And I only give most of the customers two options, cash or Venmo, but you can offer more. In the snowball stand that I used to run with my brother, we took cards, so that's another option because it's very accessible. Mostly everyone that will be able to afford your services has a credit card. I wouldn't personally recommend this though because it starts to add too much interaction in the payment process. You want the fastest way to get paid so that you don't have any issues. The card reader might mess up or the person could give you a fake $100 bill. You just have to be smart, know the outliers are going to happen. Everyone you will find might not want to pay. Realistically, there's nothing you can do about it anyway because even though you have their address, you wouldn't want to set bad rapport with the neighbors. Also, this could eventually set a reputation for your business and word of mouth travels fast. I assure you the customer wouldn't choose to tell the truth either. Some people might even try to offer you different methods of payment if you don't set the boundaries of how you accept it. When I first started my mobile detailing business, I did a job in the middle of nowhere and the guy told me he had cash that he was going to pay me with. But when we finished, he actually still needed to go get it and instead he tried to give me an old shop vac that he had so he didn't have to go out and get the cash. This is another issue with offering cash because people say that's how they prefer to do the payment, but they still need to go leave and get it. I've always had many people try to offer me checks, but I highly push against this method as it goes back to the difficulty between you and your payment. Somebody can easily forge a check or give you a bad check because they want to get rid of you in that moment. You might not find out until a week later when you cash it. I know I've said this many times, but Venmo is just the most convenient payment processor. You don't need to go to the bank to move it to other people. It's nearly impossible for somebody to scam you, especially if you have knowledge of the platform and how it works. You should also remember in the moment when you're making your Venmo name that it's appropriate and you wouldn't mind sharing it out to all your customers. The only bad part would be that you can start getting taxed if you're taking in too much money through it monthly, but hey, if you're at that point, you're probably not listening to me right now. If you guys made it to this point in the video, I hope you can use this in your own business, and if you have any questions, please drop them down below along with the word money, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. The first person to comment it down below, I will Venmo you $3.